It's hard to imagine now. The billion-dollar stadiums, the roaring Sunday crowds, the Super Bowl halftime shows watched by hundreds of millions. But the National Football League wasn't always this unstoppable force. A century ago, it began as something far more fragile. Just a handful of men, chasing glory on patchy fields, playing a sport America hadn't even learned to love yet. This is the story of how the NFL became what it is today. An evolution through blood, grit, innovation, and spectacle. This is every NFL era, explained. The birth of the league, 1920s. It all started in 1920, inside a car dealership in Canton, Ohio. Representatives from a few small football clubs gathered to form what was called the American Professional Football Association. No TV deals, no sponsorships, no million-dollar contracts. Just a group of men trying to organize a chaotic sport that barely paid the bills. 2 years later, they renamed it the National Football League. Back then, games were low-scoring, brutal slugfests. Players had day jobs. Some worked in factories during the week, then showed up on Sunday to smash skulls for $20. But this was the foundation, the first step towards something bigger. The survival years, 1930s. 1940s. The 1930s tested the league's will to survive. The Great Depression hit hard, and most teams couldn't make it through. Dozens folded. Owners lost everything. But the game itself kept evolving. New stars emerged. Names like Bronco Nagurski and Red Grange, who brought national attention to the sport. By the 1940s, the NFL began to look more structured. Rules were standardized. The forward pass became more common. World War II even forced teams to merge. Imagine two franchises combining rosters just to field a team. The Steagles, a temporary fusion of the Steelers and Eagles, are still a piece of football lore. And in 1946, the NFL broke one of its biggest barriers, the signing of Kenny Washington and Woody Strode, reintegrating black players into the league after a long, unjust ban. The NFL was changing, slowly but surely. The television boom, 1950s, 1960s. Then came the era that would transform everything, television. In the 1950s, TV brought football into America's living rooms. Suddenly, every Sunday, fans could see the hits, the drama, the strategy, all without leaving home. The NFL's first televised championship in 1958, the greatest game ever played, changed everything. Baltimore Colts versus New York Giants. Overtime. Drama. Johnny Unitas carving up the field like a surgeon. That night, America fell in love with football. By the 60s, the league exploded in popularity. But there was competition. The AFL arrived, faster-paced, flashier, and full of swagger. Joe Namath. The long ball. Brighter colors. The tension between the old-school NFL and the rebellious AFL reached its breaking point. Until 1970s, when the two leagues merged. And from that merger, the modern NFL was born. The golden age of defense, 1970s. The 1970s were pure grit. The league toughened up. The hits got harder, the rivalries nastier, the legends bigger. This was the decade of the Steel Curtain in Pittsburgh, the Purple People Eaters in Minnesota, the Doomsday Defense in Dallas. Every game felt like a war. And yet, it wasn't just violence. It was art. Teams like the Dolphins mastered efficiency and teamwork. The 1972 Dolphins remain the NFL's only perfect team. 70-0, a record untouched for over 50 years. The Super Bowl had now become a cultural event. But the 1980s, that's when it became something else entirely. The superstar era, 1980s. The 1980s brought flash and fame. The NFL had superstars now. Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, Lawrence Taylor. And for the first time, players weren't just athletes, they were icons. The West Coast offense rewrote the playbook. Passing exploded. The Super Bowl became an American holiday, with halftime shows, commercials, and spectacle to match the game itself. But there was darkness too. Labor strikes, scandals, and injuries highlighted the physical and mental toll of the sport. Still, the NFL marched on. Faster, louder, and more profitable than ever. By decade's end, football had overtaken baseball as America's favorite sport. The globalization era, 1990s. The 1990s were about expansion, in every sense. New teams, new stadiums, and a growing international presence. The Jacksonville Jaguars and Carolina Panthers joined the league. The Rams moved to St. Louis. The Browns left Cleveland, sparking outrage that still echoes today. But on the field, it was a golden decade. Brett Favre's gunslinging, Barry Sanders' ballet-like runs, the Cowboys dynasty, and of course, the rise of the GOAT conversations. The NFL was no longer just a sport. It was an empire, built on nostalgia, storylines, and heroes. The Brady-Belichick dynasty, 2000s, 2010s. The 2000s opened with heartbreak and unity. Football returning after 9/11 became a moment of national healing. But from that moment on, a dynasty was born in New England. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. 6 rings. 2 decades of dominance that redefined what winning meant. They weren't flashy, they were surgical. And as the Patriots ruled the league, the game itself evolved again. Rule changes opened up passing. Offenses became more creative, more explosive. Peyton Manning's precision, Drew Brees' consistency, Aaron Rodgers' flair. Quarterbacks became the faces of the league, and defenses struggled to keep up. The NFL was now a passing league, and it wasn't slowing down. The modern era, 2020 to present. Today, the NFL is a spectacle unlike anything else in sports. Every Sunday is a global broadcast. Fantasy football, sports betting, social media highlights within seconds. We're in the age of Mahomes' magic, of Josh Allen's cannon, of Lamar Jackson's electricity. Quarterbacks are now part athlete, part superhero, redefining what's possible every season. Stadiums have become modern cathedrals, billion-dollar architectural marvels. The Super Bowl isn't just a game, it's a global holiday. But beneath all the glitz and lights, the soul of football hasn't changed. It's still about teamwork, sacrifice, and the human pursuit of greatness. From the mud of 2020 to the lasers and fireworks of today, the NFL's story is one of reinvention, of surviving every challenge, adapting to every era, and capturing every generation's imagination. A century of legends, a century of change, and through it all, one constant: Sunday football. The league that started in a car dealership in Ohio is now the heartbeat of American culture. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more stories from the game that never stops evolving. Because this is the story of the NFL.